Good morning. 안녕하세요. Okay, I'm very happy to be here. It's my honor to be here. So today I'm talking about character education, focused on the practice and the experience in Taiwan. And I want to say something about, because this conference is about human resource. As it seems to me, moral education is the base for the human resource, because that one of the famous Taiwanese company boss, he mentioned about that. If you want to, they will notice that higher education, after they graduate from higher education, they want to welcome this new the graduates from the universities. They notice that their professional expertise, they can make progress in the future. But the one thing they cannot be changed is their character, good characters. So that's why this is very important. About me, I used to be a school teacher. I taught in the elementary school for 8 years and 2 years at junior high schools. And I now teach at the university for 8 years. And this is my research ground. And I want to say something about Taiwan. From 1949 to 2004, in Taiwan and elementary and junior high school, we have taught moral subject for 5 decades. The name of the title of the school, the textbook is Life Ethics, Morality and Health for elementary schools, and the Civic and Moral Education for high schools. Okay. Something important is that the implementation of moral and character education in Taiwan's education system since the abolition of formal moral curricula in 21st century is an important event, because in 2004 we had a new curriculum reform at the time. Actually, I have to say something. After 1987, because the Taiwanese government abolition about the martial law, in Taiwanese society become more and more democratic and liberal. So at the time, in 1990s, many people argue that we try to change. So in 2000, at the time, in our timetable for curriculum, we do not have moral education on the timetable. So I think it's a special case in East Asia countries based on Confucianism, subject-centered to non-subject-centered. Okay, but following the abolition of formal moral curriculum, a number of Taiwanese scholars and educators, they want to rebuild, implement moral and character education, believing that traditional cultural values curricula have been removed from the schools. So that in 2004, the Taiwanese Ministry of Education released a character and moral education improvement program. And actually, this program is not only for K-12, but also for the highest education. And then the main goals of the program are to facilitate the development of students' moral thinking and the ability to select, reflect on, cherish, and identify with ethical values and the code of conduct. And also to develop a character-based moral culture in Taiwan schools, and involving teachers, students, administrators, parents, and community leaders, and also to strengthen the roles of parents and community leaders play the school's moral and character education, and also to give non-political organizations, cultural educational foundations, as well as the mass media, a larger role in schools' moral and character education. And what do teachers do in character and moral education now? The first is they just remind pupils to correct their behavior by chance. I mention this issue is that just for some schools, not for all teachers, not for all schools, because we do not have the timetable. Not so many teachers really teach moral education in a systematic way. And a few schools have character education projects. But now it's changing. This is according to our survey in 2010. But we also mentioned we have some support from foundations on character and moral education. The first one is kind of Sharing One Cultural Educational Foundation. What they're doing is that to edit some traditional analects to teach Confucianism in ways more fitting to daily life of students. So what I mentioned about that, because that also we do not have formal subject in schools, but some organizations some foundations want to help the government and help schools to do that. So they teach, they offer some kind of textbooks or offer some kind of funding to help the schools to implement character education. And then the second one is the kind of the Zhang Zhongfa Foundation, as by the Eva Air, and also they edit a journal and the monthly journals on morality in brochure format. So there are many stories, and some teachers will do that, and according to the stories about the moral stories, and to do that in their daily teaching. And the third one is HTC, the Mobile Foundation. They work with the local community and the government, and they invite very famous scholars like Marvin Berkowitz to teach school principals and teachers. I also help this organization, the foundation, to organize some kind of learning community for principals, school principals, to help them to do the promote character education in schools. So they do something like this way, and this foundation support lots of money to local schools, and also learn something from the United States and the current important character education movement in the world. And the other ones are kind of Buddhism, the Chiji Foundation. Actually, this kind of foundation also contributes better social community service, medical care, education, and humanism in Taiwan. And many volunteers, and also they encourage teachers to do this kind of thing to teach moral and character education in schools. And also their missions is focused on giving material aid to the needy, and inspiring love and humanity to both givers and receivers. So in Taiwan, actually, we are secure. I mean that we are non-religious schools. Most schools are non-religious schools. Only very few Buddhist schools. But some teachers, they also will introduce some kind of religious beliefs or ideas from the good story from their religion. But in Taiwan, and if you want to deliver religion in the school, it's forbidden. I also want to say that Taiwanese government gives more freedom for the individual school to have their own values. However, not all school teachers understand the meaning and the content very well. The difficulties, I want to say something about difficulties and reflections from Taiwanese experience. The first one is the government does not clearly propagate the policy. According to our survey, many school administrators do not positively promote the program. And some teachers express that they do not have enough time or proper time to teach moral education. I think in 2009, I went to the Seoul National University, and there's a scholar in Korea told me that in history in Korea, it seems that you did not have the formal moral education in 1970s. But you tried only a few years, but later you set up a formal curriculum. It seemed to me that he said that if you try to integrate all moral elements into all subjects, it means nothing. Sometimes it means nothing. So how to balance? We have set up a moral subject, or we try to integrate into the moral elements into all subjects. It's a big issue. And some teachers do not have enough professional knowledge to teach, according to our research. The fifth, the teachers could not find the systematic textbooks to use as the teaching proof. The means by teaching proof is that some teachers, they emphasize moral education. They would teach they work very hard in their daily teaching. But some teachers probably do not emphasize moral education. So it seems to me if we have the formal education, in the timetable we have the formal curriculum to teach moral education, I think it would be good that, because not all teachers, they have enough professional knowledge or they have enough time to do that. The teachers could not find enough proper systematic teaching resources to use as well. And the government does not supply enough budget for school to carry out. Many teachers are overly focused on academic subjects rather than moral and character education. Actually see the many negative parts, because we need to reflect ourselves then to become more better. It's much better. Many parents are overly concerned for their children's academic performance rather than spiritual and moral dimension. Some students could not recognize the importance of character education itself. Teachers have too many important new key issues to teach without clear curriculum guidelines. What to say is that because now in the global society, our education practice face a situation that too many emphasis. For example, gender issues, gender education, life education, economic education, multicultural education, and anti-bullying, these kind of issues. And our government asks our teachers to do that during their teaching. However, teachers already have a lot of work to do in their daily life. But how could you combine so many things together? I learned from Korean moral textbook that it seems that in your moral curriculum guideline, you combine this kind of issues together. I think we learned a lot from your experience. Then I'm going to take a school-based curriculum the experience, and there's a character-based elementary school in Taoyuan. It's close to the airport. And the school is actually come from a very deprived background. Actually, there's students there. They come from a very poor family, and their family is a low-income single parents. It's about 1/4. And also some other issues you can see from the slides. And okay, the school, they try to focus on character education in the center, and combine mention about the gender issue, the human rights, and the environmental education, career development, and so on together. And what they're doing is to emphasize the kind of environment of learning. So in cognitive domain, they combine the core values, use the 6 E's we learned from the United States, and the reading. And some teachers, they will use this way to reading books. They do invite students to go to a library and to special focus on the CME, the character moral education, and also to read the newspapers and to enrich their virtues and the world news. And also the library and the whole class reading, all character theater. It means they combine some kind of art. Also in the affective domains, it's based on students' daily life, like life education and the natural environment in schools, and the music and art, and a good character to encourage role models. You can see the picture that nowadays in many schools, many teachers, they try to use different ways, diverse ways to encourage students' character education. And also they use kind of the character banking sheet, a kind of action in doing good things, speaking in proper way, proper words, and with kindness. I will show the picture later. And a good character with practical wisdom. And you also to have do the service learning and encourage students to express their competence through the multiple ways of performance. And also democratic practice. That's the many schools that are doing this one. Let's mention about this kind of school, a kind of character bank sheet. So if you do something good, then you speak in good words and do something good, and you can write it down, and the teachers will praise you, and also you get encouragement from your peers. And the other things that I found another school in the seashore, I shared Hui Ming Han. Dr. Hui Ming Han, he visited Taiwan 2 months ago, and I took him to the school. And you see this kind of character education portfolio, and you see this gentleman, actually he's the expertise about the crabs. So he knows everything about crabs. So he volunteered. Actually, he's found this community, and he come to school to teach the students about the local environmental education combined with good characters. And also, this kind of newspaper, and this school, they encourage students to write some articles about the character education and to get published in the newspaper, and also to do kind of newspaper, reading newspaper, and to do kind of notes. And this can their work. And also, they can see this school, in the case of another school in the seashore, in the center is a crab. So you see the many core values they want to emphasize. So in this, sorry, I didn't have time to translate into Chinese, into English, or into Korean. So you can see there's many activities and many their visions to this. And the other point is that this one is from pupils. They write something good words or to praise their good friends if they're doing something good. So this is very important. I don't know how about you're doing in Korea. We have the daily note between the communication books between teachers, parents. So many teachers they would do these things and to communicate with their students and the parents. So if you write down some good words and to do this one, I think it's very important in Taiwan. And so what we can learn from Taiwan's experience. And you can learn from Taiwanese is the first one, school principals, administrators' ideas, and actions play very important roles. And the second one, if school staff can involve local community, as I mentioned this here. And we also can teach CME through different subjects, learning areas. And it's very useful to use the daily parents, teachers, or communication books. And also, it seems to me it's very important to teach morality and teaching morally are both important. And what we can learn from you is that you have a fixed timetable to teach CME and to design, organize a curriculum guideline for character moral education, and to develop an idea suitable books and all teaching resources, and to emphasize the teacher education on CME. So Taiwanese should reconsider what are the proper way to cultivate students' character based on their own cultural and social values. So welcome to Taiwan. This is my presentation. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It is my great honor to present my paper in front of you. I'm Haemin Han, came from Stanford University. 반갑습니다. 한혜민입니다. 스탠퍼드 대학교 청소년 센터에서 현재 연구 중에 있습니다. First of all, I really appreciate the great presentation done by Dr. Yanshin Chen. He introduced lots of great more character educational programs utilized in Taiwan, and one we can learn from the Taiwanese character education. So on top of Dr. Yanshin Chen's presentation, I'm going to think about how character education programs in the US are conducted currently, and also I'm going to introduce 3 successful examples of character education programs in the US. Also based on those programs performed in the US, I'm going to think about how to improve the current character and moral education in Korea, and think about the implications for policy making in terms of moral education and character education in national level. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to introduce 3 successful character education programs in the US currently used in the diverse context. Also, I'm going to seek some useful insights and implications for character education in Korea from the findings from the US case. So let me introduce how successful character education programs in the US are summarized and introduced through the internet. So there is database established by University of Missouri at St. Louis as the Center of Character and Citizenship, summarizing the cases and the findings from the character education programs performed in the US. So the database contains the summarization and some aspects of scientifically reliable and valid character education programs. And it is also established by the CCC, stand for Center for Character and Citizenship. Also, it is a sort of a unified database to accumulate and share information of successful character education programs between researchers and educators in the US. So it is very interesting because this database is established based on the previous meta-analysis of what are successful character education programs conducted in the US based on the scientific experiments instead of just the conceptual studies. So you can access this web page through the internet once you open this character and citizenship.org web page. Then you can seek which are successful character education programs in multiple domains in human behavior. For instance, you can specify the realm of human behavior to be improved, which are your interests. For instance, you can choose, oh, I like to improve pro-social behavioral tendency through character education, or I'd like to seek successful character education programs successfully reduce the drug abuse. Then you can specify the option on the left side, and then you can also specify, I would like to only see the character education program show the significant effect, something like that. So because I'm mainly interested in moral education and pro-social development, so I focused on the programs that show the significant improvement in the domain of pro-social behavior, and particularly can be applied for both elementary and secondary schools. So as a result, when I used this criteria to find programs that show the significant effect in the domain of pro-social behavior. As a result, I got these three examples: Seattle Social Development Project, Caring School Community, and Second Step program. So in the case of Second Step, it's very interesting because I'm currently collaborating with the San Francisco Unified School District, San Francisco 교육청. So in order to evaluate, improve the quality of current social emotional learning programs adopted in the school district, and in the case of San Francisco Unified School District, they are currently utilizing this program, Second Step. So it's very interesting because usually these programs are adopted at school level instead of district level, but San Francisco Unified School District decided to utilize this character education program in all public schools in San Francisco. So it's kind of a very intriguing movement in the field of character education. So let me start with the Seattle Social Development Project. This program was initially developed by the Social Development Research Group in 1981. It's pretty old. More than 3 decades old, and it is initially developed for elementary school students. So they worked with the University of Washington, located at Seattle, to develop this program. So the main purposes of this program are to reduce substance use, such as drug abuse, the reduce of risky sexual behavior and violence among students. Also, this program tries to improve behavioral tendency in schools among students. So this program was developed to be delivered by classroom teachers because it is designed for elementary school education. So even in the case of the US, in elementary schools, the school teachers, classroom teachers are teaching most subjects to students. So the role of classroom teachers are very important, like the case of Korea. So this program is intended to be delivered by classroom teachers, and this program also emphasized the participation of parents through establishing strong social bond between school and the family. So there are several main components, core components in this program. First, proactive classroom management skills, which is intended to be performed by classroom teachers, and active learning method instead of just a passive lecture method. For instance, teaching problem-solving skills, conflict resolution, and refusal skills. Yeah, refusal skills are very important to achieve happiness in our life. If you don't know how to properly refuse others' requests, then you may be very busy and unhappy. So, yeah, because it is basically social emotional learning program. So, this program emphasizes these kind of things to be delivered to students. Also, to make parents engaged in school education, because the situation in the US is a little bit different from Korea. In the case of Korea, most parents is strongly interested in academic achievement of their kids. But in the case of the US, there are lots of working class parents or disadvantaged parents in particularly urban areas. So they are not strongly interested in academic achievement of their kids. So this program is also interested in to engage the parents in academic supports and prevention of antisocial behavior of their kids. So the findings, the longitudinal outcomes, this study showed that this program was able to significantly reduce risky behavior while improving positive pro-social behavior tendency among students. So for instance, in the case of a classroom teacher teaching components, you can see that an example of this activity is establishing the principles in classroom by discussing which values should be emphasized in our classroom. For instance, in the case of this class is emphasizing 3 R's: right, respect, and responsibility. Through this activity, students are discussing why these values are important and how to implement these values in their everyday behavior in classroom. And also, this program is designed to teach how to deal with the social emotional situations through social emotional learning. For instance, this part is dealing with how to properly perceive your feeling, or whether or not I'm frustrated or afraid or worried or something against something. So this component is designed to teach how to properly perceive your current feeling and how to properly deal with this situation in everyday life. Also, problem-solving skills. So you might be familiar with what this picture stands for. So hopscotch, one of the most popular games for elementary school students. In Korean, 오징어. Is it correct? Yeah. So by delivering this thing, which is familiar to students, this diagram is intended to teach how to deal with the problematic situations step by step, starting from ask them to stop the problematic situation, and then if it is impossible to find the appropriate ways to deal with the situation, then lastly, it might be better to do something else. Also, there is a parent education component. how to improve their children's health through some principles like a sense on this right side of this slide. So in summary, this is a program which has integrative components for staff, teachers, parents, and students, and designed particularly for elementary schools. Also show the successful reduction in antisocial and risky behavior, as well as a promotion in pro-social behavior tendency. Let's move to caring school community. Sorry, it's a typo. It should be caring school community. So it was initially developed by the Developmental Studies Center for Elementary School students, and this center is located in Southern California. The main purposes of this program are to create a caring environment within school, to prevent risky behavior, and to promote academic and community engagement among students. Here are main outcomes of this program. First, at the school level, this program was able to promote a sense of a classroom as a community, students' autonomy, students' mental well-being, concern for others, liking for school, and democratic value on campus. At teacher level, it was able to improve staff-student relationship, parent involvement and relation with the school, teacher interactions among teachers, collegial sport, intellectual environment on campus, and school innovation. Finally, at the student level, this program effectively promoted the concern for others, democratic value, altruistic behavioral tendency, trust and respect in teachers, and liking for school among students. So this program strongly emphasizes professional development for staff, teachers. So once you visit the webpage of this program, then you can see these slides and the programs developed to educate the teachers how to effectively deliver the components of this program. For instance, in the case of classroom meeting, HR, homeroom, so you can see a sort of arranged schedule and activities for classroom meetings, what should be done in first 8 weeks, and how to deal with the issues raised during the classroom meetings to engage students in classroom activities properly. Also, this program strongly emphasizes students' peer interactions. You can see an example of a student peer interaction program on this side, cross-age buddies. This cross-age buddies program activity was designed to match younger students to their older students, 후배, 선배, to help younger students properly adjusted to school contexts. And also, this program encourages the parents' involvement in school activities as well as their children's character education. For instance, in the case of this activity material, this material is developed to think about the origin of children's name and think about the connection between themselves and their family. So in summary, this program also embraces diverse components, including professional development and classroom level and the school level management skills, school interactions, and parental involvement. Also, this program was able to significantly enhance character development among teachers as well as students. Let me move to the last example of successful character education programs, second step, which is currently adopted by the San Francisco Unified School District. This program was initially developed by the Committee for Children, which is located in Seattle as well. And this program is for both elementary and secondary school students. Also, this program was developed to reduce aggressive and antisocial behavior among students, as well as promote their prosocial behavioral tendency. These are main components. This program intends to develop empathy and caring among students and teaches emotional management skills, how to control impulse, and how to properly solve problems. Also, how to prevent drug abuse. It is a very interesting point in this program because the other programs are mainly interested in the prevention of risky behavior and the promotion of a prosocial behavioral tendency. But in this case, in the case of this program also interested in the goal identification and the goal-directed behavior support to help students to find their purpose of life in the long term. So these are some examples for social emotional learning in classroom, how to properly deal with bullying behavior among peers by presenting some video clips of victims of a bullying situation and sharing their notions about what the victims might feel during the situation, and the sharing and the empathy with the feelings of victims. Also, goal identification and the goal supporting activity, how to find your purpose of life and how to make a feasible plan to achieve the purpose, and also evaluate the plan to make it more reliable and realizable. Also, this program provides some materials for parents' education and the parents' involvement, like the CDs and the dolls for education and book materials designated for parents and parents-oriented activities. So here is the summary. This program integrates components for students, school staff, and parents. Also, this program was able to effectively reduce risky behavior such as antisocial behavior, physical aggression, verbal hostility, and bullying among students. Also, this program was able to enhance prosocial behavioral tendency and the prosocial skills such as empathy, problem solving, positive interaction with peers among participating students. Based on these cases, I'm going to think about what are some implications for Korean character education. So these are basic directions. First, character education should be based on empirical and scientific research, particularly longitudinal, developmental, and educational psychological studies. Also, programs should encourage the engagement of all related agents associated with character education for students. For instance, students, school staff, parents, and committee members. So this is the current situation. Recently, Korean Assembly legislated for character education, 인성교육 진흥법, and this is the foundation to support the character education programs in Korea. Also, there is a certification circles for character education programs in Korea, but currently this certification is based on the evaluation of a documentation and mainly focusing on administrative aspects of programs instead of actual findings. So we should establish a database based on scientific studies such as a pilot study or field study. Also, we have to take interdisciplinary approaches to character education. So we have to conduct psychological and scientific research to see which are effective components of our character education. Also, those activities should be strongly based on moral philosophical foundation. Why? why we have to think about moral philosophy. Even though a program might be effectively promoting a certain aspect of a human life, but that doesn't necessarily morally justified. For instance, let's think about the program was able to successfully reduce your weight for 5 kilograms during 6 weeks. Then it is scientifically reliable and valid, but the reduction of weight cannot be morally justified, and that is not appropriate for character education. So we have to think about what is necessary for character development and character education based on moral philosophical studies. And as I mentioned before, by conducting scientific studies, we should complement the current document-based certification process with longitudinal findings from those scientific studies. Also, character education should be cooperative endeavor. It should emphasize the participation of students, school staff, family, and community members. And we have a moral education teacher and moral education as a formal subject. So moral education teachers should be leader and the coach for character education on campus. Also, to achieve this goal, moral education teacher education system at universities should also be improved to include these aspects like basic research skills to conduct longitudinal studies for character education program development. And also, universities should teach developmental educational and social psychology knowledge in order to make moral education teachers able to conduct this kind of studies in classroom as well as school level. In summary, I introduced the database established by character education program. Also introduced the 3 successful cases for character education in the US. And I mentioned some implications for Korean character education, particularly associated with the legislation for character education based on US cases. Thank you. 감사합니다.
지금 제가 플로우에서 주신 질문지를 총 8장을 가지고 있는데 이 중에서 2장은 이엔신 첸 교수님에게 질문이 이제 들어온 것이고요. 나머지 6장은 한혜민 선생한테 이렇게 들어온 것입니다. 이엔신 첸 교수님 거부터 먼저 소개를 해드리겠습니다. 첫 번째 질문자께서 대만 인구의 절반 이상이 5대 종교, 그러니까 도교, 유교, 불교, 기독교, 이슬람교를 융합한 일관도 회원이라는 말을 들었습니다. 일관도가 인성교육에 어느 정도의 영향을 미치고 있는지 알고 싶습니다 라고 했고요. 시관도. 두 번째 질문은 뭐냐면 인성을 어떻게 점수화할 수 있느냐와 관련된 질문입니다. 그 다음에 이제 한혜민 선생한테 들어온 질문지가 6개인데요. 첫 번째 질문 또한 평가에 대한 것입니다. 선생님들께서 평가에 관심이 많으신가 봅니다. 인성교육에 대한 평가 지표가 있을까요? 현장에서 많이 노력하더라도 이런 인성교육적 성과가 나타났는지 안 나타났는지 확인하려면 평가 지표가 없으면 사실상 곤란할 것 같은데 평가 지표가 있을까요? 라고 이렇게 질문하셨고요. 그 다음에 두 번째, 데이터베이스를 구축했다라고 하는데 캐릭터 에듀케이션의 성과를 그럼 과연 어떻게 측정하고 데이터베이스화하고 있는지에 대해서 물어주셨습니다. 대체로 학생들의 셀프 리포팅 방식에 의존해서 이렇게 하는 것인지 아니면 실제 실험적 연구를 이제 해서 그 결과를 갖다가 객관적으로 검증하는 것인지 그리고 그런 검증 결과를 어떻게 데이터베이스 구축화하는지에 대해서 물으셨고요. 세 번째 질문자께서는 내과학적 근거에 대해서 그러니까 인성교육과 관련해서 다양한 교육적 시도가 이제 있을 수 있는데 그런 인성교육과 관련된 다양한 교육적 노력의 그 결과를 fMRI와 같은 그런 그 장치 혹은 도구를 활용해서 실제 측정한다고 했을 때 어떻게 측정 가능한지에 대해서 물으셨습니다. 자, 그러면 이엔신치엔 교수님부터.
Okay, thank you for these two questions. I think I will answer this first question about religion. And maybe there's some kind of misunderstanding, but as I mentioned in my presentation, I think in most of it school in Taiwan, actually, we do not teach religion. Only very few. We have the Christian Catholics, and also we have Buddhism at schools, but they are only very few. So for most teachers, we do not teach religion beliefs in schools, but we do teach children different religion in schools context. But about the religious beliefs in Taiwan, I think about 1/3 of the population in Taiwan believe in Buddhism. Another 1/3 is Taoism, but Taoism is not equal to Yiguan Dao. Okay, Yiguan Dao is also a combined kind of idea from Confucianism, Buddhism, and they have their own ideas. I just checked from the website. It's about 2%. Only 2% Yiguan Dao in Taiwan, so it's not so many. So I mean that in schools, we don't teach Yiguan Dao in the school. And the second question about evaluation, I think we have similar discussion with the scholars from Japan. You know, in Japan, they are have a new reform about moral education. So in Japan, I mentioned about Japan because Japan faces similar situation because the moral education in Japan is is also a formal it's a formal in curriculum timetable, but it seems the kind is not so official subject. It means official subject means that you have their own textbook, there's its own evaluation method. Okay, so it seems that next year the Japan is going to change. So they call that moral education as a special subject. So it's not like Japanese, like mathematics. It just want to emphasize the importance of moral education. Why I mention that? Because they have some discussion about the evaluation of moral education, because it's very conflict and very controversial. If we teach children moral education, how we should evaluate is the content of what they have learned from the moral subject, or is to evaluate this person himself. So these things I have to think about that. In Taiwan, as I mentioned before, we have this kind of evaluation to evaluation the moral. I mean that your score for moral education could be part from your what you learn from the moral subject, but also from your personality self. But it seems to me nowadays we changed. It seems that we did not emphasize so much about to evaluate the moral education. So instead we do kind of, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, that we do the portfolio and to evaluate what you learn from your daily life and your activities. And we also try to use different ways to do kind of multiple evaluation assessment. So not only for your what you have done in school, but also what you have learned from different activities. So if you want to suggest in Korea, I think you have well-organized curriculum and also evaluation method. I think probably we can learn that in Taiwan, that we can use the kind of multiple way to evaluate or to assess that the students' behavior or their performance in school, but not only just focus on moral education itself. It's my answer. Thank you.
한혜민 선생님은 그 질문들에 대해서 3분 내에 답변을 해주시기 바랍니다.
저는 이제 기술적인 측면에 대해 가지고 답변을 주로 드리도록 하겠습니다. 인성교육의 성과를 어떻게 데이터베이스화할 것인가 하는데, 저는 이제 통계적인 관점에서 말씀드리자면은 여기 데이터베이스화 한 거를 보면은 뭘 고를 수 있는가 하면은 통계적으로 유의한 효과가 있었느냐 없느냐 이거를 선택을 할 수가 있고, 그 다음에 이제 이펙트 사이즈, 효과 크기 차이에서 큰 효과, 중간 효과, 작은 효과 이렇게 데이터베이스화를 했습니다. 그러니까 인성교육 평가 지표에 대해서는 정창우 선생님께서 답변해 주시겠는데, 그런 거 이제 설문지를 돌려가지고 했을 때 통계를 돌려봤을 때 진짜 유의한 효과가 있는지 없는지, 큰지 작은지 중간인지 그런 거를 가지고 쫙 수량화해가지고 논문이 여러 개가 출간이 되죠. 이제 인성교육 프로그램이 하나 개발되면은 수십 년 동안 적용이 되면은 여러 개가 출간이 됩니다. 그럼 그거를 쫙 모아가지고 메타 분석을 해가지고 수치화해서 넣습니다. 그럼 이제 클릭했을 때 그게 나타날 수 있도록 하는 거고요. 그 다음에 셀프 리포트 문제에 돼가지고 이건 소셜 디자이빌리티 바이어스 문제가 항상 되죠. 이런 인성교육이나 이런 거에 말에 있어서는. 그래서 쉽게 말해가지고 그겁니다. 니 착하냐 안 착하냐 물어보면 우리는 그 보는 눈이 있기 때문에 속된 말로 뻥을 치든지 구라를 칩니다. 내가 착하게 안 하더라도 내가 착한 척 하는가가 인간의 본성 아닙니까? 그래서 이제 그 도덕 발달 심리학에서 이런 거 측정 도구 개발할 때 그 척해도 그게 다 드러날 수 있도록 하는 그런 거를 연구를 해서 발리데이션하고 릴라이빌리티 체크를 하고 해서 그렇게 합니다. 그리고 제 연구 같은 경우에는 눈에 드러나는 거를 하려고 합니다. 그런데 이거는 인성교육 지표냐는 측면에서는 또 이제 의문시 될 수 있기 때문에 그 부분은 정창우 선생님하고 성경훈 박사님께서 답변을 해주실 수 있는 부분인 것 같고, 이게 인성교육을 했을 때 뇌 어떤 부분이 변화하느냐, 이거 사실 그 부분에 대해서는 연구가 잘 안 됐습니다. 아직 기초적인 연구 결과, 저 같은 경우에는 이거는 극비 사항입니다만은, 제 이제 미래 연구에 무엇을 할 건가 하면은 도덕적으로 훌륭한 일을 하는 귀감자고 일반적인 사람 간의 뇌 구조나 기능상에 어떤 차이가 있는지를 봐가지고 발달된 도덕성이라고 하는 것은 어떻는지 그거를 그 연구를 통해서 볼 거고, 그러면은 어떤 교육적 처치를 했을 때 뇌를 찍어봤을 때 그런 사람의 가까운 쪽으로 변화가 일어난다 하면은 그거는 이거 뇌과학적인 측면에서 봤을 때 효과가 있다고 말할 수 있는 거 아닌가. 예, 저는 그런 연구를 기획 중에 있습니다. 그럼 이제 나머지 답변은 좌장께서 해주시는 걸로.
네, 굉장히 중요한 질문을 하셨고요. 미국의 경우에 그 캐릭터 에듀케이션 분야에서 전문 연구를 담당하고 있는 기관인 캐릭터 에듀케이션 파트너십에서 평가 지표를 제시하고 있습니다. 캐릭터 에듀케이션 제대로 되기 위해서 실천해야 될 11가지 원칙 혹은 원리라고 하는 게 설정되어 있고요. 각각의 원리 및 원칙 밑에 평가 지표들이 쭉 설정되어 있습니다. 예컨대 첫 번째, 모든 학교에서는 가치 덕목을 포함시켜서 인성교육의 목표를 설정해야 한다라고 하는 이제 그 원칙 속에 그 밑에 이제 학생들과 학부모의 참여 속에서 인성교육에 대한 그 목표를 설정하는가, 이런 식으로 해가 평가 지표들이 이렇게 설정되어 있다라고 보시면 되겠습니다. 오늘 좋은 질문을 해주시고 끝까지 경청해 주신 청중들께 감사를 드립니다. 그럼 여기서 세션을 마치도록 하겠습니다.